there will be no hearing or supplementary discipline for Toronto Maple Leafs forward Nazem Kadri on his hit on Daniel Sedin from last night. Okay, so what do we have here? We have ourselves the aftermath of a really fishy game, a game where everybody was going at each other in the third period because a few earlier hits started some things. Morgan Rielly hits Hansen. Hansen gets right onto Kadri, who just took down Daniel Sedin. That was the big hit. And then we got Dorsett and Komarov, and then Burrows goes after Rielly. That was disgusting. And then it ends off with Matt Martin taking down Troy Stecher. The goalies get involved. Markstrom and Enroth come back in to finish the game. Overall, just a dumpster fire of conflict went on in the third period, and December 3rd is going to be very, very crazy. What do I think about the hit on Daniel Sedin? Alright, I'm not going to talk about any of the other things because I think everything else played out. There were penalties, there were things. Rielly's hit on Hansen, that was a good hit. I saw no problem with that. That was just one of those hits that made you go, oh my goodness. But there wasn't really anything wrong with that. It's just Nazem Kadri comes in. He Daniel's down. He's putting his body in a downwards position because he's taking a shot. He gets nailed, the helmet comes off, his forehead hits the ice, and he's staying down there for a few seconds. And Nazem Kadri just found out today, a few hours ago, no hearing, no discipline on Kadri. Now, I read an article that was shared on the Canucks Facebook page from John Garrett. And if you don't know who John Garrett is, he's the color commentator for Sportsnet on the Canucks broadcast. He was the goalie of the Canucks a while ago. He's been involved with the team for a very, very long time. He's seen generations of great players pass through this game. And he wrote an article on Canucks.com, or NHL.com/Canucks, whatever the new website's called, about how the Sedins don't get respect. And how Vancouver's basically been, for lack of a better term, just screwed over by the Department of Player Safety many times. In this article, he talks about, I'll link it in the description, by the way, he talks about several times over the past 6 years that the Sedins have been taken down in a very violent or illegal manner, and how the league hasn't really stepped up to protect the Sedins in the form of giving harsher discipline to the players who hurt the Sedins. And really, just reading over this list, you got yourself Henrik, who's been a great player. Daniel's been a great player. Mark Methot hits Henrik Sedin in October of 2011. Ben Eager hits Henrik Sedin in the Western Conference Final. Tim Thomas levels Henrik in front of the net. I think I remember watching that. Brad Marchand hitting Daniel. Duncan Keith got suspended for 5 games for basically ending Daniel Sedin's goal scoring for a very long time. I remember when Duncan Keith laid out Daniel. He was gone for a few games. When he came back, he just wasn't the same. Wasn't the same sniper that he was the previous season. He started playmaking a little bit more, but I think really that hit, that Duncan Keith elbow to the head, was a very detrimental moment in Daniel Sedin's career. This article goes on to talk about a lot of players who have gone after the Sedins, and how their hearings have not been that strong, and basically how the Sedins aren't getting the protection that they deserve, no respect from the Department of Player Safety. And the more I think about this, the more I look at the suspensions the Canucks have gotten. You know, you got Edler, who got suspended a while ago, that was like 5 games or something. Then you also got Jake Virtanen, and then you got like the guys who you know will be suspended if they do something very wrong, like Burrows, for example. Let's take a look at this hit, this Kadri on Daniel hit. Let's take some other players and insert them into these roles, okay? Imagine the hit stays exactly the same, it's just the players are different. Imagine if it was Nazem Kadri on Sidney Crosby. Imagine if it was Nazem Kadri on Taves or Kane, or some very high up there player, Connor McDavid maybe. Not saying that the Sedins are on the same level as Connor McDavid, but the league has to do what it has to do to protect their star players, and let's take Nazem Kadri and replace him with somebody else. Imagine if it wasn't Kadri on Daniel, but rather, let's say it was Raffi Torres on Daniel. How many games would Raffi Torres get? I know Torres retired like yesterday, but the point still stands. Let's take Kadri out, and we'll leave Daniel in, okay. Let's say Burrows was on another team, and it was Burrows who hit Daniel like this. How many games would Burrows get? Oh my goodness. Nazem Kadri, I know the history counts and everything, but Naz is a repeat offender. Remember that Detroit game last season? So, for him to get no hearing on this game, there are many arguments to support him getting a hearing or him not getting a hearing. Oh, look at this angle right here. His feet are leaving the ground. There's like an elbow to the main contact and whatever. There are many different arguments to support the technicalities on why he should or should not get suspended for this hit. But if you take into account the players involved, this is Nazem Kadri, who has gotten a suspension once before. And this is Daniel Sedin, who was the Art Ross winner a few years ago. He was one of the strongest, most innovative players for the past few years in the NHL, along with his brother. And if you take a look at the hits and all the misdeeds that have been thrown towards the Sedins, and you take a look at the NHL Department of Player Safety's responses to all of these things, you can look at this and basically say the Department of Player Safety isn't doing what they can to defend the Sedins, who are one of the top pairings of players in the NHL. You got Ovi and Backstrom, you got Sagan and Ben, Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlav, Henrik and Daniel. They count for that elite group of pairings who you know will play together. Sean Monahan and Goudreau, you know they are going to play together. The Department of Player Safety does not look like they are doing their job correctly in protecting the Sedins. And if you take a look at the Canucks in general, they probably have screwed over the Canucks quite a few times, and if you put all of that into perspective to this Kadri hit, you might take a look at that and say, what the hell's going on over there in the Department of Player Safety? That's my thoughts. Comment down below what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed this video for Boston International Show, Second Last Guy, Gaming, and bye.